Adam. Sorry to keep you up.
All good, Nat. Nice to see you.
Nice to see
You're looking good
too.
there in your castle.
I've got the lights and everything, but yours looks moody.
It is pretty moody, pretty
Good.
vibey. Yeah.
Yeah, we just wanted to have a little chat with you just about our experience of mixing London Live and how it was for you, and thanks for staying up to have a chat.
My pleasure. Let's do it.
Was the first thing we did was Byron, hey? Which was had I just finished my show and you were in Sydney.
Yeah.
Did we do? It's so funny. We're always remote, even if we're in the same country.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Sydney, I was Byron, and we went
So
through.
you were Byron, but even before that, so if we rewind back a little bit further than that, you popped into Australia for, I'm not sure what, it was the year before, and we got to do a session in the gallery. So we did like a vocal session for something that still hasn't.
That's where we
come out.
met. That's where we met.
That's where
and
we
that
met.
was thanks to Heath. So I think, Alistair from the label was like, we need to find someone in Australia. And I said, let me ask Heath.
Yeah.
I need to cut a vocal. So that's where we met.
As you do, yeah. Yeah, that's where we met.
Yes, with Heath.
And that was fun. And that was pretty quick.
Yep.
But it kind of...
That's when I knew you were as like detail-oriented, shall we say?
That's a nice way of saying it, yeah. Detail-oriented.
As me with the vocals. And I was like, I like pushing for better.
Yeah, which is good. And I remember it went down really easy, and you sounded great. And then from there, I think then we were just chatting. I think you needed like an in-ear engineer monitor guy for your tour, one of your tours.
That's right.
And I helped you out with someone there. And then and then next thing
radio,
you know,
didn't we?
yeah.
And I was like, I know the person who's going to get what I need to do with this, because I guess this is the first time I've tried to record shows. And so I just recorded a whole bunch on the off chance I might want to do a live album.
Yeah.
And so then it all came in, and obviously everything's a learning curve. And I was like, oh my gosh, an inside venue, an outside venue.
Yeah. All sounds
This is just, we have to find the best show to work with. And that turned out to be Shepherd's Bush, which is a good omen because it's like special to me, that venue. And so that was kind of step one.
Yeah.
And I was just shocked by how live microphone movement and things like that can sound like auto-tune. And so obviously I'd done loads of work with Chris Denman before we started working. I'm like, what's that auto-tune? And I was like, that's literally the live mic moving across. And I thought, God, this is a little bit more involved than I realized. So then we started together. Yeah. And that's when we did the Byron. That's when we did the Byron stuff. It was great that I think it was great that you and Chris had done that and gone through the shows and listened to stuff and decided what was the best show. And then I was able to kind of come in with fresh ears again and listen to what you guys had done. And then you were set up in Byron. I was in my studio in Ultimo, and we were just able to listen, just to have a listen to what was there and to how it sounded and how it felt. Notes. I kept the notes.
Make notes. You got the notes?
I found them in my drawer the other day. And of course, I'm old school pen and paper.
Yeah.
If I do them on a laptop, I'm likely to delete them. So I found a stack of notes and was just glancing through them. And it was literally, we did hours. We fine-tooth combed. And that was, I guess, my learning curve with live album was, I was like, it feels like that drum is like here, and just the positioning of thing, and you're like, well, we can't just fix your vocal. It doesn't work like that. Nah. Like, because I could just do the vocal, Adam.
No, that's the thing too. That and I remember saying to you, I wouldn't be doing anyone a service if I made your vocal sound nice and then we couldn't kind of set everything else up around it. That's really important because that plays a part in the presentation of how your voice sits and sounds and how the band sounds. And what I think, what came to light pretty early on was how important it was for this to be a true representation of not only what the band sounded like and what the live experience is like for your fans and what those shows would have been like, but to present the songs, which are, you know, wonderful songs. And I think at the time as well, it was more kind of going to be focused on Left of the Middle. But then I think you were like, let's just do all the songs. And suddenly it became a really big undertaking where it was like 18 songs. And even to listen to 18 songs took us an hour and 20 minutes. So of course, like, you know, the back and forth and talking about what we needed to do took some time to kind of work out. But yeah, this is a really wonderful presentation of the songs in your back catalogue. And to see, and you've described it as a passion project a number of times along the way. And I think that's what gets you through a big project like this. You've got to really want it to be special, and it's really got to mean something to you. And yeah. And
because I think I'm at an age where I'm just really, I can be more proud of the work that I've done. And it's, you know, I'm 50 in February next year. And it's like, so I thought this is marking the occasion of everything that I've done, but also celebrating the fact that I, after a kind of hiatus and a writer's block, you know, Firebird being intertwined with it is also great because it's kind of me getting back into creative flow. And
totally.
So, yeah, it's been really special. And it's not a money spinner project. This is purely, I want it, and I kept saying this to you, I want to be able to listen to this in 10 years and go, I'm really proud of that. And I don't want to feel like there's something in there that like we rushed that. We just threw out a live album, didn't pay attention to it. So selfishly for me, I, you know, even towards the end, and I was like, please don't hate me, I've got another note.
No, that's, you know, selfishly for you, but I think everyone else is lucky for the effort and the time and the detail you've put in, because this could have just been mixed and put out like a lot of other live albums out there. But I really think this kind of stands up as a presentation of work and your back catalogue. And I've said it to you as well. I think it also showcases you as a songwriter. You know, I think you're a really underrated songwriter, and to go through 18 songs and to listen to them live on stage and you performing, and your voice also, Nat, I think, you know, you're at peak form with your voice. It sounds great, you know, and especially because I went back to reference all of the earlier tracks as I was working on them as well, because it was important, you know, wanted to make sure that the right parts were there, that we were showcasing the right moments, just the little details.
Gotta love Baby Nat.
Yeah, that's it. But now you own those songs, and there's an ownership to your voice, there's an ownership to your artistry. And now, you know, like you say, it's a beautiful mark in your career, I think, this, and it's just going to set you off on that new chapter, which I know you're really excited about. And you've earned the right to be excited about it, and you've earned the right to take ownership on that, your creativity, your artistry, and your business too, you know. So it's
a good time.
Credit to you. It's a great time. It's really inspiring because you work hard too. That's another thing, you know. It's taken a long time. We weren't mixing every day.
That's because, you know, you were busy.
Yeah, we were both busy.
I was busy, and so we pulled a lot of all-nighters. But I feel like it's just nice to work with someone who's just into the detail and as passionate about, because it's easy to get lagged towards the end of a project. And even down to the wire, you're like, nah, we have to get it right.
We did need to get it right. We that's because we spent so much time on it, and I knew what it meant to you as well. And then that's kind of what I'm like when I'm in on a project. Is I'm all in, you know. So it wasn't ever an issue ever. So it was like, let's just get this done. I wanted you to be happy, and I think your fans are going to be really happy because you've put a lot into it, and I think it shows. I think it'll stand up as a really wonderful record, you know. So
I hope so. And you know, they've grown up with me, and so that was also on my mind, because the DMs I get about, when are you doing a live album? Another one they really want, when's White Lily's Island coming out on vinyl? Like, so they let me know what they want, and so it was kind of forefront of my mind that you know, this is also for the people that have supported me through a period where I wasn't writing and still have been loyal and come back and bought my music. And So it's for them as much as it was for me. So
that's it. I think it shows. And your respect, because again, it's another thing that came up is like you wanted it to be a really true representation of what the fans would have experienced and something that they
absolutely on the night
and enjoy. Yep. You know, so
we wanted to capture the emotion of the night, and that's something you and I talked about a lot. But I just think I think on the mixing side, it was also what was taken out to feel the space of it as well, and like the positioning of everything and the detail we put in to kind of not overdoing it in some respects makes it feel bigger, I think.
Yeah, totally. And again, just puts your voice front and center, you know, and as it should, where it should be. People go to see you sing your songs, and it's a great band. And I also like another point on that. What was wonderful was that I loved it when you said, because obviously, you know, you're playing to big production. There are some really big songs, really well-known songs there. It's not an acoustic set, you know, it's a big show. And I remember you said, I want to make sure that the track that we play to, which has certain elements that just fill out a production and a live production, weren't at the forefront. It's like, we want to hear the voice singing. We want to hear the guitars. We want to hear the keyboards. We want to hear the drums. And so it was, I think
because I have some BB on track, but for a live album, we don't want that at the forefront. So let's get a really good blend of, you know, I've got 4 guys singing. Let's make sure the blend of their voices are forefront. Because it's not like I have a problem with track being in there, but it's like, let's prioritize what is live. And I think we did that you did that really well.
I think so too. But no, credit to you. You know, that's the thing, is that I guess what I'm trying to say is that you really knew what you wanted. And I think it's easy to try and make everything slick and really polished, which, I mean, I love great sounding records, you know, and I think this is a pretty good sounding record, but we made sure that the right elements were forefront, whether they were...
Yeah, we didn't want it too slick and shiny.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want it too shiny. Yeah. You want it real.
I'm super happy with it, so thank you.
Great.
You guys have any other things you want to throw in?
Yeah. So you spoke about trying to capture the atmosphere. Like, how do you go about that? Like, how do you immerse the listener in what the atmosphere was like on that evening?
That's a good question, David. I think it's to do with. So if Adam gets it right with the emotion in the vocal and the way the sound of the audience is balanced with the band, you know, you close your eyes and you're kind of taken back to that. So there's a what about that one person? So I was like, Adam, I think you're just like using one section of the audience sound like over and over again. And he's like, nope, that's that one girl that was going, woo! Like, Sam's putting a hand up as if it was her.
It was Sam. That was Sam.
Your TV PR said it was him.
No.
That's so good.
Not kidding.
He's literally just told me that this week.
Oh my God.
Can you hear me looking at?
Oh my God. It was literally, and it would be like right where the vocal starts, there'd be a woo! And I'm like, how do we get rid of the woo? I mean, thank you, woo, but it was a bit woo-woo.
It was a bit, there was a few woos. You could have called the album London Woo.
London Woo. But that was really interesting because, you know, just as far as I've never mixed a live album before, I've never worked on it. And, you know, all of these different elements. And also what was weird for me was that things could sound artificial down the live mic. And I wanted to fix those things because it doesn't matter, you know, the fans aren't going to understand that. So that sometimes we were tweaking something that felt artificial because the way a voice moves over a live mic, you know, I did fix things like that, and I think we should because we're trying to bring people back to the room, and people out front weren't hearing how that was recorded into the desk. So it's obviously, I mean, it's obviously, you know, you've got a front of house engineer who would have made it sound great on the night, and it would have sounded a certain way on the night. Again, this was about making sure we got that sounding as
clear as far as the instrumentation and your vocal. I know it was really important to kind of go to make sure we had clarity on your vocal and
for audience to be mixed in, to have that, you know, that's why we had mics on the audience to make sure they.
Well, that's the thing too, right? That's the thing too, is that you know, there was ambience recorded on the night from inside the crowd, and so it was just about getting a right balance between your vocal up on stage, having the audience in there.
We talked about that because I didn't want it kind of rided in and out. I wanted to create that other way you make it kind of feel as if people were there, like is getting.
Well, it adds to the ambience, you know, because your microphone is coming to
of it, because you've got it coming in the mic, you've got the mics at the front, and it can sound like it's being rided up and down. So like getting that evenly is another way that you get it to feel like you're in the room. Because if the audience suddenly dips down, it sounds fake. If you're listening to, you know, that's quite a hard thing to get right, isn't it? From your
yes, on a technical level, there's lots of things. You know, you get your microphone was picking up drums. You know, the mic on the bass amp was picking up drums and crowd. So there were all these little things that, from a technical point of view, Paul mastered the record.
How do you clean that up?
Well, so I mean, there are tools to be cleaning that up, and like I've got a film background, so that's kind of, you know, what you do when you've got production sound, and you've worked in film, so you'd know that there's a lot of stuff going around when you're shooting a scene.
Usually a helicopter on it outside.
Yeah, a helicopter or two. That's right. So you can remove that and clean up a vocal, but you know, we didn't clean it up too heavily. It was just about making sure that everything had its space and that everything was working. From a technical point of view, and then creatively, that's the stuff that we worked on together, you know. And I know you said to me, don't pan stuff too far, and I'm like, I love panning stuff. And fortunately it all worked out.
I think I said to you, because usually for me it would be you know, whatever time of the evening, Adam just getting up or getting up before he usually gets up. So I was in kind of delirious mode, and I'm like, it's pan to the right. But I could lie down on my right hand side and listen to it, and then it's okay. But because I've got quite extreme OCD with, if it's panned, everything has to be literally balanced so perfectly. Like if one thing gets too loud here, my OCD brain can only hear that. What was your favorite one? Not necessarily
favorite track on this.
I'm not saying which one was the most fun to do, but like yeah, which one were you like, I love that one?
I think the one that kind of really set the tone, and I mean, we mixed it early on. So at the start we mixed Torn and Firebird just to see if we could kind of get a bit of a vibe and make sure you were happy with the sound. And I'll never forget your face when you listen to it at the start, and that was a good sign. But Firebird for me was a big one. Yeah, it's
just incredible, and that's one that's a good example of feeling like you were there on the night and capturing that atmosphere. So I'm just
that was a special performance. That was a special performance of that song, you know, and again, there were moments in there where it's like, reminds me of Kate Bush, and your voice is big, and I remember even listening to it off my phone, and like just off the phone, and thinking, yeah, that's special, you know. So that's what I mean. Like, I think you're right up there, and you've got this creative ownership of what you're doing, and I think that's fantastic for an artist. Yeah.
Well, I think that stems from being dropped by a label and quitting and thinking the universe didn't want me to do it. Trying other things that were harder and going, oh, it's kind of cool that I've got this gift of a tone of voice.
Yeah.
And I just love communicating a story. Maybe I don't have to be the best singer. Maybe I don't have to be the best songwriter. Actually, if I was singing to two people in a pub, I reckon I'd prefer that to trying to start an acting career in Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah.
So I really do think that going back with that kind of confidence, you're doing it, you're not doing it to arrive anywhere.
Yeah.
You've literally realised through letting it go that I just love doing this. It brings me joy. But also this gig we just did in Switzerland, it's such a shared experience, live performing. And just the energy you get from a crowd when you're live performing, I was just like, they made me feel better. I was like, oh, right. You know, thank God I'm on stage, and thank God I'm having this shared experience. It's not just that before bit where I'm in my head, and you can actually, and that is true for me. Like once I'm actually, when I walk out there, it's shared, and I'm receiving so much vibe from an audience. And so I was quite emotional at the end of that show just because I got through it, and thanks to them, and they were just so appreciative. So
great.
We're lucky, aren't we, to do a job that's has that power, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's it. And you know, that's the sort of stuff that in your day to day, there were moments when I'm listening to stuff, and even when I was, you know, mixing in a room by myself, and I was just like, yes, Nat, like it sounded so great, you know. So those moments and that energy will hopefully continue, and that's why records are important, and that's why recorded music is important, you know. So again,
and
tipping
props
to you
for the listing on the vinyl, because I was like, oh my God, you know what you think, because just the thought of having to select was terrifying to me. Yeah. And I didn't have to edit. Like, I loved the order that you chose. I think there was one song on the second side, the first track, I was like, is that the right? And we tried a few other things, and we went back to Nothing Missing. So, but I just love that you think the way that I do about it as well, just like the arc of things, because modern music is so much about just put out a single.
Yeah.
For me, it's still the arc, even on a live album, of the experience of the order matters. It matters.
Yes. Yeah, totally. It's an experience. And then again, you know, credit to you guys for going, we're not just going to put it out on streaming. There's going to be a vinyl and a CD. I cheered when it was like, yes, we're making a CD. How cool, you know? And I think people will be happy for that. It's all part of the experience, you know? And like on a computer screen, or on a phone, it's very easy to flick through, but it's something different when you have to go to a shelf or a store and actually pick something up, look for it and find it and open it up and take it out and put it into. It's such an important part. I talk about that so much, like to whoever will listen, because it is that some of my favorite memories is going to buy a new record. And you know, like in the 90s, you'd maybe hear a single on the radio, and then you might get an album title in the TV Week or a Smash Hits magazine or something like that. And you wouldn't know, right? You wouldn't know until you went to the record store and you picked it up, you turned it around, look at the titles. I love titles as well. So and then discovering the record, taking it home, putting it in.
I wouldn't want to listen to it until I had the booklet. And I was like, I need to do it at the same time. Like, I remember distinctly Tori Amos, Little Earthquakes, and Joni Mitchell, Hajira. I was like, and it was literally the excitement of having the booklet and hearing it and reading the words at the same time.
Good stuff.
Thank you so much. Sorry to keep you up, but I'm glad we got
My pleasure. No, it's all good. It's all good.
I just want to say thank you.
Anytime, Nat.
You're immensely talented, and it was just a privilege to get to do it with you, so thanks. You won't find it anymore.